The 7 deadly sins, Roblox style. The depths of pride, sloth, and beyond explore how these vices manifest in the virtual world. First up, let's talk pride. Picture this, a game where you can strut your stuff, flaunt your rare finds, and bask in the envy of others. That's right, we're talking about Adopt Me. Created by Uplift Games, this virtual playground started innocently enough, letting players live out their adoption fantasies. But oh, how the tables turned. As updates rolled in, the focus shifted from parenting to pet collecting, igniting a frenzy of greed and one-upmanship. With rare pets fetching high prices, players scrambled to amass their virtual menageries, trading, begging, and sometimes even scamming their way to the top. And let's not forget the manners or lack thereof. Ever given a pet to someone in Adopt Me, only to watch them bolt without so much as a thank you? With a whopping $60 million in earnings, the developers hit the jackpot, capitalizing on their young audience's desire for status and recognition. Boasting over 50,000 active users and a staggering 35 billion visits. Next on our sinful tour is Sloth. Ever heard the phrase, lazy gaming? This game takes the concept to a whole new level, banking on players' sheer inertia to keep them hooked. Developed by Soul Studio, Soul's RNG operates on a probability system, where players roll the dice in hopes of snagging elusive auras. From common auras with a 1 in 2 chance to rare ones boasting odds of 1 in 100 million, the game's allure lies in its randomness. Forget strategy or skill, this is the pure, unadulterated chance. And while other games might offer expansive worlds to explore or thrilling challenges to conquer, Soul's RNG keeps it simple. Too simple, some might say. With no open-world map and minimal features, players are left to wander aimlessly, collecting potions and crossing their fingers for that elusive jackpot. From a lack of features to a blatant lack of originality, Grand Kaizen left much to be desired. Players clamored for a skill tree system, a staple in similar games, but were met with disappointment. And did the developers apologize for dropping the ball? Not quite. Instead, they boasted about their earnings, rubbing salt in the wound with taunts about blowing cash on their girlfriends. Classy, right? When the backlash reached a fever pitch, the developers promised to right their wrongs with a relaunch. Spoiler alert, it never happened. Fast forward to today, and Grand Kaizen remains a ghost town, a cautionary tale of wasted potential and broken promises. And speaking of broken promises, let's talk about Meep City. Developed by Alex Neutron, this social hangout game took Roblox by storm, boasting mini-games, roleplay, and you guessed it, parties. Sounds innocent enough until you peel back the layers and uncover a cesspool of inappropriate content. As the game's popularity skyrocketed, so did the controversy, culminating in a spotlight on YouTube and a swift crackdown from Roblox. But the damage was done. Players fled in droves, leaving Meep City a shadow of its former self. And who's to blame? The rise and fall of Meep City, a cautionary tale of what happens when stubbornness trumps responsibility. Imagine if Alex had taken a different path. Perhaps Meep City wouldn't be the ghost town it is today, with fewer than 5,000 active users left wandering its digital streets. Let's talk about envy, the green-eyed monster that rears its ugly head in Shindo life. Developed by the illustrious Real World Group, this Naruto-inspired game was poised for greatness. Originally known as Shinobi Life, it faced legal woes and a rebranding scramble to avoid copyright claims. And thus, Shindo Life was born. At first, players rejoiced at the chance to step into the shoes of their favorite shinobi. But as popularity soared, so did the game's ambitions, veering away from its skill-based roots toward flashy AoE combat. The result? A gaping chasm of imbalance that drove many loyal fans away. And then came the curveball, abilities outside the Naruto universe, like Spider-Man's web-slinging antics. As one disgruntled player put it, it's an anime game, but you got Captain America's shield in it. Talk about a clash of worlds. But despite the backlash, Shindo life soldiered on. That is, until the race update dropped. Bloodlines, playable races, unique abilities. It was all too much, too soon. To add insult to injury, players were forced to spin for races using a special currency called real coins. A grind so tedious, it made the journey to the top, and just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the developers slammed the brakes on weekly updates, signaling their waning interest in the game. But fear not, dear players, for salvation was on the horizon in the form of Ninon, a fresh project from the real-world group that promised to reignite the spark of excitement. And if that wasn't enough, they doubled down with RCs, a One Piece-inspired game aimed at capturing the hearts of anime fans far and wide. But let's not forget the cautionary tale of Blade Ball. Developed by Waiwandi and Chunch Bunch, Blade Ball soared to meteoric heights, boasting billions of visits. But alas, greed reared its ugly head when the developers pivoted to a pay-to-win model, alienating their player base in the process. As complaints poured in about the lack of new features and the game's repetitive nature, players felt like little more than cash cows to be milked dry. Enter Fruit Warriors, the brainchild of none other than Axor, a Roblox YouTuber with a million-strong following. With a name like Fruit Warriors, you'd expect a feast for the senses, right? Well, prepare to be disappointed. Gluttony takes center stage as players gorge themselves on endless battles and fruit-based power-ups. And while Axor may have built a reputation as a content creator extraordinaire, with over 1 million subscribers and a Discord community of over 600,000 strong, but as they say, pride comes before the fall, and Axor's downfall is swift and brutal. It all started innocently enough with the announcement of Real Seas, a new One Piece-inspired game from RA Games, the masterminds behind Shindo Life and RPG Beyond. Roblox players around the globe rejoiced at the news, but Axor's response, a dismissive, "Real games, no thanks." His seemingly arrogant attitude didn't sit well with RA Games, who felt the sting of his words and took to the virtual airwaves with a plea for understanding and support. But Axor wasn't done yet. He launched his own One Piece-inspired game, Fruit Warriors. Fruit Warriors turned out to be nothing more than a bandit killer simulator, leaving Axor's fans scratching their heads and questioning his motives. Axor found himself in a downward spiral of hate and disappointment. And as the hate comments flooded in, so too did the silence from Axor's corner of the internet. How do you think the 7 deadly sins would manifest as Roblox games? Share your thoughts on how pride, sloth, greed, and more come to life in the virtual world. And don't forget to leave your comments below.